What up, what up, what up? And welcome to The Hook, powered by the True Detroiter. My name is Jeff Lowe and my host, Mr. Keith Butler. What up, what
What's up, Jeff? What's up, man?
Hey, man, it's glad. I'm just glad to be back in the saddle again. We have taken a few weeks off, a few months off, actually. But we're back, and sports never goes away. And, hey, a lot of things have been happening in Detroit, in and around Detroit, in sports with the draft and the NBA Endgame tournament. And we got a special guest for you. He's our resident sports analyst. His name, he's Detroit's sports analyst.
Well, he's ours anyway.
Yeah, he's ours anyway. Right. But he belongs to the D.
Right.
By way, he went to California. He's a Stag, a Mackenzie Stag.
And a Spartan.
But, that's the D. I'd like to welcome to The Hook. I'd like to welcome Mr. Leland Stein. What up, though? That's the Detroit guy.
Whoa. Made me feel good.
Yeah, I mean, you would think you were never on the show
I got
before.
the Jeff Lowe Michael Buffer intro.
Yeah.
Sure, man. You think you've never been on the show before, and like we've never talked to you, and we don't know who you are.
Hey, that's the hot dog. That's the hot dog intro.
It's Leland, man. It's Leland.
Hot dog intro. That's a good one.
Jeez, man. I mean, I can see you doing all that for somebody who's never been on the show before, but people know Leland. This is our guy.
Keith? Yeah, my brother knows.
Okay, my bad, man.
I'm just trying to get him back in the groove. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I got you.
And a little help with from Tito. It's okay. You know what I mean?
Welcome back, Leland.
Hey, man. How y'all doing?
I'm good,
Jeff
man.
and
I'm
Keith.
good. Doing well.
Leland, hey, man, we want to kick off this show and welcome back again, But we want to kick it off, and you've been covering a lot of things since we've been off. You had the Quicken Loans, and hey, Jim Brown, man, that still has taken me back. But Jim Brown, one of the greatest running backs to ever run the ball in the NFL.
Some people consider him the greatest.
The greatest, yes.
Yeah.
Depends on who you talk to.
And Leland Stein has had a pleasure to talk personally and get to know a little bit one-on-one with Jim Brown, and we're going to talk about that in this hour. But first, Leland, I want to lead up and ask you some things about the sports environment today. Just a lot of things are changing. First thing, let's start with the NBA. What do you think about this end season tournament that they're going to be conducting in the NBA? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, as always, and always a step ahead of everybody is the NBA, simply because they have to be. I mean, it's more than a notion selling rich, black, tall men to white people. And they're the predominant customers, so just keep it real, and the sponsorships and everything else. So to do that, the NBA has always been inclusive, way more so than the NFL and baseball has been. Then, of course, hockey, for major go-getter sports here in the United States. But the NBA, I'll just give you an example. When they were floundering right before Magic and all them and the drugs and things were going on, they just blamed all them players and they almost just destroyed the NBA, with talk. And you know how the media is back there. They just beat them, everything was empty. It wasn't making no money. They didn't have no TV contracts and so forth and so on. But the NBA smartly brought itself back, and then the game is a good game. And even though all the racism and segregation tried to diminish it, they couldn't because it's a great game. And any like-minded people that get beyond racism are going to like the game. When you can stop looking at the color of people and how much money they make and all the nonsense, then you can really, really appreciate that basketball is a beautiful sport.
Right.
And so it started gaining traction, and great players started getting better after Magic and Bird really came in and did a number on the league. And Bird, of course, being a white guy, really helped that black against white thing, which actually it happened that way. I hate to say it.
And it's happening again with the Joker.
Well, the Joker's a bad boy.
He's a bad boy.
Yes,
I think less so than back then.
And he's a lot more humble.
Just saying he's a heck of a player.
That
right?
boy's
Don't
a
you
bad
think
boy.
so?
Yeah.
Well, say that again. I'm sorry.
I think people just saying, more at the point now. They say he's just a good player.
Yeah.
We can't help but know that he's a white guy, but I think it's less, of that being the push versus his skill level putting him where he is, right?
And you know what?
Well,
I think it has a little bit to do that he's not necessarily American, but he's foreign.
Right.
So I think there's less, animosity from, black people as well.
Right.
Because he's not American-born white. I could be wrong with that, but that's
just like Nowitzki, too.
Yeah.
Right.
Nowitzki was a German.
Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
True.
But
he ain't married nothing but sisters.
You ain't joking about that.
Jokic is a bad boy. He's a bad boy.
Yeah.
Of course he is, man. I always say, if you love basketball, I don't care if they purple, green, or orange, man, love the game.
But you're just a pure sports, enthusiast.
Well, I know. Most people can't get past the race and all that. You just can't do it.
Look.
I wish it was true.
When you look at it, though,
you can't do it. Oh, but back to the NBA real quick. So the NBA they took that All-Star weekend, and I started covering that thing probably back in 1990, during its heyday. Mm-hmm. They brought in the slam dunk contest.
Brought it back.
They made it a weekend. They tried to bring in the showmanship because they had to.
Three-point shooting.
Three-point shooting.
Yes.
And then they would bring in the old pro. They had an old pros play the game. A couple people got hurt. They had to stop that way. Walt Frazier and all they was playing. It was a big deal, man. You get about 8,000 people. But they got hurt, man. They stopped that one. And what they did got smarter, and they had the first-year players in the rookie game.
Right.
So they'll take the top rookies from the year before. We'll play the incoming rookies at the All-Star game, coming up this year. I mean, so they've done all these great things. They've had to add, especially entertainment value with the cheerleaders and all that. Dr. Buster was the first one to do that out there in L.A. Mm-hmm. Brought the Hollywood to the game, and of course, all the teams picked up on it. And so NBA just said, "Come on, you want to come down for a show, and you can get past all this racism, see a good game, have some fun." And then people start finally finding its way back to the mainstream,
Mm-hmm.
And then they allowed their players to speak freely. Like Bill Russell did way back in the 60s.
Well, that iconic photo, Stein, with Bill Russell, Muhammad Ali was the focal point on that photo. Jim Brown was in that photo.
Well, he was the organizer.
He organized it, right?
Cleveland.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It was him that put it together.
Yeah. That. I mean, we had some very.
But it was for a deep cause.
Yes.
They had to get behind, figure out. Jim actually had an ulterior motive too. Now, quiet as it kept. All of them at the table had an ulterior motive, and they debated. There was a debate in that room with all those guys.
Okay.
Jim, I found out after going back and researching, Jim was a lieutenant. Did you know that? He retired in the Army Reserve with the rank of a captain.
No,
he was in the ROTC his whole years at Syracuse. When the NFL, the players in all the sports didn't make no money. So they all had off-season jobs.
Right,
for 4 years, the great Jim Brown, every summer, he did military training at Fort Benning as an Army Reserve officer.
So he was perfect for that role in that movie.
That's why I worked
The Dirty Dozen. What was it?
Exactly right.
Yeah.
The Dirty Dozen.
Yeah.
He wasn't just playing it; he was living it.
He was living it. Wow.
So he almost acted as a quasi-consultant, which they didn't want to talk about because they didn't want to pay him for it.
Uh-huh.
So, but in a way, he was that guy on the set, But if you give him money, you'd have to give money to officially do all that. White people weren't trying to do that. It was bad enough they had to pay him like they did, in that era. But yeah, that was spectacular. But so, I got so much to tell you. You get me started talking about Jim. I'm be going all over the place.
Before we get to Jim,
okay.
Stein,
Okay.
real quickly on your thought. Good thing or bad thing, this NBA in-season tournament? Good or bad?
Again, the NBA is at the forefront of keeping their league interesting.
Okay.
And marketing. How in the world could that ever really be bad?
Well,
it's sort of like what
I'm hearing players say 82 game schedule and injuries that might happen during this, and they're weighing it. You know, they're saying, "Wait a minute now."
Well, wait a minute. I'm not sure if the tournament is okay. Well, I don't know that.
It's an in-season tournament.
But I mean, it counts against those 82 games.
Oh, no, I'm not sure of that.
Well, see, that's what I'm saying. Well, even if it did, you ain't gonna play no more than 6 more games.
Okay.
However they let in, they're gonna eliminate just like they do. They started with 64 teams in the Final Four, and then one day you're down to 32.
Right.
And the next day, the weekend you're down to 16. So it'll go away so fast that it's not gonna be no laborious. I just think it's just smart. It's kind of like what the college football has done in a way.
Okay.
Well, not only college football, college basketball has these tournaments, man. Way in season tournaments, they don't have all these the Chicago tournament, this tournament, tournaments in the Bahamas and Hawaii,
right?
Everywhere they get to travel and do these tournaments in the season. Mm-hmm. College basketball has been doing that for about at least 20 years now.
And TV ratings have been going through the roof.
Everybody loves that stuff. They love that. Who don't want to go to Hawaii? Who want to go to Fridays and play in a tournament?
And the NBA's tournament is going to be in Las Vegas. And that's the entertainment capital of the world.
Well, of course. And they're going to sell. I mean, look at the Summer League. You know, they sold out. They got 2. I mean, so it's fascinating. Well, now, the NBA is really moving forward. But personally, I don't see how. Of course, you can always have complaints from players. And they should. And the union should say, if you got to play more games, we got to get paid.
Okay. So, all right.
All those are legitimate concerns.
Let's move on. Let's move to this one real quick. I want your thought on this one. We're going to take a break first? No? Okay, we're going to continue on. But I want to ask you this one. Victor, what are your thoughts on Victor Wembanyama?
Woo! Ain't seen him enough to be an expert, but it reminds me of Ralph Sampson, but way more skill. Too. Way more skill. Never will be big, so I don't know. But look,
you think you're gonna be able to survive it?
Yeah, he will. Because I saw him block like 4 shots the other day. He's just so big, he gonna block shots. Well, they gotta manage him. Once they see where he is, that's gonna be on the coaches. He got Popovich ain't gonna mess that boy up.
Right team, right coach. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Right team,
right
coach.
The right team would have been the Pistons. Monty Williams.
Yeah, that would have been the right team too.
My concern with him is that does he have enough weight to not get broken down early in his career?
Well, there's been a bunch of skinny guys play forever.
Yeah, but they weren't playing
really
together.
Think about it. Well, a lot of middle guys ain't been all that big, I mean, some of them, I don't know. What about Mutombo was skinny guy? Shit.
Yeah, but he had that finger.
Yeah.
He had that finger. No.
Look, Victor could at least be a Mutombo, because Mutombo couldn't stop Patrick and them from getting too deep in the paint. But what he could do is disrupt everybody else on the team.
Well, one thing Mutombo had, though, over everybody in the NBA, when it comes to Patrick Ewing, they played with one another, didn't they?
Yeah, but I'm just saying he was just a great defensive block shocker. He knew that's what he could do. So even if Victor's going to be a good shot blocker, I could see that up there.
Yeah.
So even if he don't do nothing else, he's going to give you that.
Right.
And he can shoot some threes and pass the ball.
Yeah, he is pretty
tough.
He
ain't got to be stuck in the paint.
The way the game is pretty good.
Yeah, the way the game is playing now anyway, they ain't got no big guys just beating the hell out of you in the post. But yeah, he got to get down there. Some people going to put their booty on you and they're going to push you, and we're going to see. I don't see how he can really stand up to like a guy that's really tough and big. If he get him in his spot, Now, but even if he get him in that spot, he gonna have to get close up to Duncan because if he try to shoot it, all that big dude got to do is put them hands up.
Okay, hold that thought, Leland. When we come back, I want to talk to you, get you to talk about your interview with Jim Brown,
Okay.
The one you did way back in the day. So hold on, we're gonna pay a few bills and we'll be right back. Hey, you've been thinking about doing a podcast but don't have the equipment or nowhere to go?
Call YMP, your mobile podcast. We will come to you.
You can do your podcast without worry of equipment or travel.
For more information, contact 313-241-0017. That's 313-241-0017.
YMP.
Your mobile podcast.
I grew up in Detroit. She's my home. Some people left when things got tough, but not me. I knew she'd make it back. Like Detroit, I'm strong, resilient, hardworking, and loyal. Detroit has been true to me. I will be true to Detroit.
To get your True Detroiter gear, go to true-detroiter.creator-spring.com. Get yours today.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the Hook Podcast. We're coming to you from the 6 Hole. I'm here with my co-host, Jeffrey Lowe, and our guest, our sports analyst, Leland Stein. Leland, what's up, man?
Keith.
Okay, how you doing, brother?
Oh, man, I'm just lovely.
Okay, you and Jeff.
Except for grandkids running all over the house.
Well, you know, that's how it is nowadays.
Now, what do they call you? Do they call you Big Papa or
No, they do. No.
Great Papa?
No, just Pops.
Just Pops?
Pop.
Oh.
Pop.
Listen,
Pop.
I'm Big Daddy Papa.
listen. Yeah, we got to welcome Jeff to the grandfather club. He recently became a grandfather. What was it, about a month ago?
Yes.
Yeah. And then Mr. Stein has 2 year-old grandbabies. So welcome you guys to the granddaddy club.
No, I got 6 grandsons total.
Well, you know, welcome you back.
Welcome to new one. Yeah, you got a new one.
Yeah, the new one.
But listen,
they the new edition.
listen. Recently, we just lost a great sports icon, great civil rights activist, a movie star, Jim Brown. And you had the honor, like Jeff said at the beginning of the podcast, you had the pleasure and the honor to sit down with him in his California home, I think it was.
Yes.
Years ago, and do a one-on-one. Talk about that. How did that feel? How did it happen? Why did he choose you amongst all the others? You know.
I know. I think what enlightened me, since I was an engineer, I had an engineering degree, and then I went back into journalism later, like 10, 12 years later into my life. To do that, I had to start through the black press to do that. So that meant that, you know, that's where I was. Now, shockingly, I was thinking like, wow, you know, because when I finally got into some games and was able to cover some things, I realized, you know, they put you up in the 3rd row, they sit you over here, and you don't get this, you don't get that, you know, you didn't get parking, you know, a whole bunch of stuff they played me really hard initially. But I think, so it made me feel some kind of way.
Right.
But what I was doing was that with the opportunity, I took it serious. You know, I didn't play. You know, I didn't go out there and was happy to be there. Like sometimes my brothers and sisters, you get lucky enough to get inclusion, then you get caught up in being there, and you don't work as hard. Yeah, you don't take advantage of the opportunities. I'm there to interview.
You become a fan.
Write stories. You know what I mean? That's it. Nothing else. So once I got the opportunity, I really started doing that. And surprisingly to me, black professional, educated people or whatever, especially in that era when I started in the 1980s, was that they were reading. People that didn't know were reading it. So I was at the LA Coliseum covering USC, and I can't remember who they was playing. And back in those days, we could go down on the field with 5 minutes left. So we all trudge on down the Coliseum and get down on the field. And they got a long tunnel that goes up in the locker room. So find my way to the tunnel, and I looked to the right of me, and there was Jim. So we had a long 150-yard, 60-yard walk up to the tunnel, and it took me a minute to get the courage to ask him. You know, I was like, "Okay, I got it." I said, "Jim, excuse me, Mr. Brown." Of course, I said, "Mr. Brown,
Of course you did.
can I have an interview?" I said, "I'd love to interview you." And he looked at me, and he's like, "Oh, shit, you work with the Black paper, the Black Voice News, right?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Well, look, here, take my number and call me, and we'll set up a date. Come on up to the house." That's how it happened.
He said, "Come up to the house."
So, yeah.
Okay.
Yes, he did. He did. He did that for me. And when I got up there in the Hollywood Hills, he had about 30 people there. You know, a few people from the Bear. I can't just people. I'll just leave it at that. And I said, "Man, just come in, enjoy yourself, sit around, do the thing, introduce yourself." And so it took about almost 3 hours. You know, I probably got there about 7. It was maybe 10. He finally called, hey, young fella, come on, let's go in the back. So we went back to his office, and he sat down. And my first question I asked him was, "Wow, that's for a lot of interviews with people. Everybody don't invite me to their home, you know." He said, "Man, I knew you was writing for the Black Voice News, and if we don't tell our own stories, who will?"
Right.
And that was it. I said, "Well, don't worry. Ain't nothing going to get cut here."
And you're going to tell the story right, too.
Let it go. But I do got to tell it right. Ain't no doubt about that.
Right.
You know.
So what did you guys talk about? What did you ask him? How was it?
One of the first questions, oh, man, he was cool in the mud. I didn't drink. I wasn't drunk. I might have had a beer, and that's about it. But, I don't play around. Look, guys, when I did my journalism and did those things, I have never, ever been under any kind of substances. And I don't play when it's time to do this stuff, because I don't minimize the opportunity, especially from where I started, you know, Black press and coming in the back door, like going back to school to do.
So tell us about it. Tell us about it.
Yeah. So one of the main questions I asked him, which really blew my mind, it was funny. I said, "I know you left the NFL in your prime and never looked back, but have you ever reflected and wish you played longer?" He's like, "Not at all. I'm very happy. I left what I did." He says, "No question, football players are gladiators who are controlled by someone else with no power other than the power of your performance. The world is not run by football players, and the decisions that affect the lives of human beings are not made by football players." So he said, "I left after winning the NFL championship in '64, and we played again for it in '65. I went into acting." He said he broke some. See, they don't give him no credit, you know. He broke some barriers out there, man.
Hey,
you know, I mean,
one barrier that he broke in acting, Raquel Welch.
Interracial interaction.
Yeah. Yes.
In a white movie.
Yes.
It wasn't a black movie.
With a fine white woman.
They wrote that movie for a white boy, and they gave it to Jim because he did so good in The Dirty Dozen.
Yep.
And he was a star. They wanted to make money. And that was the bottom line. So Jim was like, you know, I made more money in 1 year acting than I made 10 years of football.
Now, let me ask you this. I always heard that the main reason he left acting was because the owners of the Browns were trying to force him to quit the movie and come back to camp. Was that the basis of it, or was there more to it?
No, you're exactly right. Basically, the Dirty Dozen. They set the filming schedule where it could have finished before training camp because it rained a lot and all kinds of stuff was happening. They had all that big equipment. They got pushed back. So it only got pushed back like 3 weeks. And Jim's like, "Okay, give me 3 weeks. Modell, just help me out. Give me 3 weeks." They know Modell, typical for the era and the white supremacy that dominated this country. He's like, "No, black man." I would use another word, but I ain't.
I own you.
Like,
I own you.
No. Yeah, exactly. Get your butt in here, or you getting fined $100 a day. $100 a day. Now, Jim's like, "Oh, come on, man. We just won the championship the year before we went to the championship. I'm going to be ready." No, They find it. So this is Jim. They was messing with the wrong brother.
Yeah, that's the truth.
Jim messed around there and did something that even Ali to that era, nobody had done in any sport other than the individual sport like Ali was doing. He called a press conference in 1966 while filming in Dirty Jersey and announced at age 30 that he's retiring from football. And he held a press conference.
Yeah, he did.
Unbelievable. I didn't even know he had done that, so I had to go back and research this story again. Since all people were calling me and said, especially my publishers from way back, he said, you need to rerun the Jim Brown interview. It was spectacular then. It's even better now. You know, just do it. Get up off your butt and recreate the story. And so I had to go back and look. And Jim, this is what Jim told him. He's right for all the white guys, because, you know, there weren't no brothers out there in London, all the cameramen, all the pictures. And he goes, my ambition right now is to devote all my time as possible to the National Negro Industrial and Economic Union Project, which stresses full participation of Negroes in the mainstream American economy.
Now, was that the organization he founded?
He called it ended up being the Black Economic Union that supported black entrepreneurship. That's what that was all about. And they did that. And he did that for years and years and years. And it kind of morphed, and he got so good at it, and it did so good for him that he created American. When he said, "Man, we got to do a better American. We got to do a better job of rehabilitating our brothers. Y'all throwing them in jail, then y'all want to kill them. They can't vote. They can't do this. And then, you know, but I'm going to show you that they can live and be function and be rehabilitated. Yeah. All they need to do is be treated fairly and have a chance. And that's what his American organization did. And he's gotten, he turned so many lives around doing that. It's incredible.
Yeah, and you know with the loss of him, being the kind of man he was really straightforward. You know,
right.
I remember listening to a Richard Pryor skit, and he was talking about how, you know, Jim Brown, he threw a fake brick at Jim Brown, and Jim Brown didn't flinch, and he thought he threw a real brick. And he said, "Oh Lord, I'm about to get killed up here." But you know, with that kind of persona, that kind of presence, what would you say is the loss of for Black America, for civil rights activism, with the loss of Jim Brown?
I think it could be better stated by saying that it can't be replaced in the realm that it was replaced in. Because when they came through, and that's why the whole thing was kind of more poignant and it affected more people than even I thought it would. I mean, I was just pushed to do it, and I did it. This is a crazy thing. I got to sidetrack for a minute. One of the things that really made me put all this effort into really recreating this Jim Brown story is because I was reading all the stuff that was going on, and a friend of mine at the LA Times, he was the sports director of the LA Times for about 20 years. His name is Bill Dwyer. And I met him in LA because they had me come to LA. I mean, they had me come to the LA Times because I guess people was hearing about me. And but I had already covered the Olympics and Super Bowls by then. So he wanted me to just cover, like, do a featurette for, like, Cal State, Fullerton, Long Beach. You know, a lot of people thought I was dumb for turning it down, but I made the right move. I was already where I was going to be. That just meant I had to teach and do other things to stay where I was. But if I went to them, I would have covered none of that stuff no more. You know what I mean? Just so I could say I worked for the LA Times. You know, because he was hell-bent. So I can't bring you in as a columnist right now because all these guys come in out of college. That's how he was playing me. Okay. But anyway, Bill Dwyer, who happened he was a roommate of George Blaha, so I did the story of George Blaha for the Michigan Sports Hall of Fame, so I got to meet him again. But it broke my heart that he wrote the story about Jim, and everything he put in there, the headlines and the titles, I kept it here. Commentary. For all his accomplishments, NFL legend Jim Brown leaves a highly flawed legacy. And in this article, the only thing he remembers about this brother is the times he's been arrested for his transgression.
Of course.
This is the LA Times sports editor. And it kind of really just hurt me a little bit because
you weren't surprised.
Because look, my thing is, it was about 3 or 4 women accusing him of stuff, and maybe it's true, but he was adjudicated. Whatever happened. That was so far long ago. And if all of us are remembered for our worst moments, all of us gonna have a hard time. walking through that door when people got to come and speak for you when you pass away. Mm-hmm. You know, and so I just knew better because he gave us more and he did. But that tells you the great divide between white and black people.
Right.
He didn't see none of the things he did. He just focused on that and he ran with it all the way. And that's how he wanted to leave the legacy of this man and have him remembered.
But they tend to do that to spoil our reputation.
Yes, they do. One thing as we begin to wrap this up, with Jim Brown, we have to keep him in our history books because he's will live on. We have to make sure his legacy lives on. Mm-hmm. So our educators have to keep Jim Brown in history books.
Not just the educators, but all of us.
All of us. But we have to reach those youth. We have to reach them.
See, we're not going to get it from our education.
Right.
So we don't have the curiosity or somebody to push us to go look for Leland Stein's story.
Right.
And they ain't going to see it.
Right. I was about to say, people like you, Stein, are the ones who keep it going.
Absolutely.
Well, in the archives and history, it'll get brought up again and looked at. And
I understand
it'll help
that.
people understand better what happened in these times. Because this helped me, as I go back looking him up and trying to find out what's going on. I'm like, oh, wow, okay.
Hey, Leland.
It keeps you real. Yes,
Leland, we got to wrap this up, but it's always great talking to you about your sports stories and
we'll have you back.
Yeah, we want to talk to you a little more about the Quicken Loans and the black golfers that were.
Can't wait to talk about Joe Lewis.
Yeah.
I'll have it.
Okay. Let us wrap this up. You're listening to The Hook, brought to you by True Detroiter. I'm Jeff Lowe.
I'm Keith Butler, and we'd like to thank you all for listening again. And Leland, thanks for coming on. And stay tuned. We'll be back again soon.
Keith Lowe.